Hey everybody, Tommy here, World at War Comics, and my next guest is writer and creator of the new manga coming out this June 17th is Mario B. Long. Mario is an incredible writer and creator who lives in Japan. He has been working the last 5 years on this new title, God Tier, and the first two volumes are going to be released within about 2 months apart. So June 17th, God Tier Volume 1 launches, and then in August you'll get Volume 2. I hope you really enjoyed this conversation. I had a blast talking to the Mario, originally from Detroit, Michigan, has lived in Japan for the last 20 years, and over the last 5 years has been building out his storyline for God Tier and much more from games and even anime in the near future. So I hope you really enjoy this. Here is Mario and I. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to World at War Comics. I am really excited to talk to Mr. Mario B. Long. He is the creator and writer of God Tier, coming from Nakama Press, which is part of Mad Cave Comics. Really excited. I'm a big Mark fan, Mark London, everything that Mad Cave is doing, and I love that they're really focusing in this area. And I'm really happy to have you, Mario, because you were the first person under this kind of new press underneath the Mad Cave that I've had on the podcast. I'm
Right.
new to manga and anime, and I've kind of fallen in love with quite a few things. I'm really excited to talk about you because you've been doing this for quite a while, my understanding. But before we jump into that, how are you, Mario?
Tommy, first off, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here to talk with you and engage with some of your fans. I'm doing fine. It's late here in Tokyo. It's about just past 10 p.m.
Ooh,
But I do some of my best work late at night and early in the morning, so it's all good.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm not writing any stories right now, but just work in general. I
Okay.
seem to get more done at night and in the morning too. So I feel like those are really
Yeah.
good creative times for me at least. So I assume for you as well.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah. Well, Mario, it's amazing to get to meet you. I'm really excited about this. I go back and forth with Frank all the time over at
Hmm.
Mad Cave, and he threw me an email saying, "Is you interested?" I'm like, "Oh, heck yeah."
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am fairly new to this world. Obviously,
Hmm.
Netflix has helped with this world. For
Hmm.
older comic book guys like me that were like, "I'll never read that stuff. I'm a comic guy."
Oh.
And then all of a sudden I watch Berserk or I watch Chainsaw Man. I'm like, holy cow, man. This is like next level storytelling and the art is incredible. The stories are
Mm.
amazing. And now I'm all in, my friend. I am all in, man. So I love the storytelling. I love the
Yeah.
art. I love the length of each of the stories. It's
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
perfect. The pace is amazing. So
Mm.
I've been missing out for a long time, and I'm excited to talk to
Yeah.
you about it.
Well, I would say I really am an old school American comic fan. I mean, I'm a huge fan of like what's called Bronze Age comics. So stuff that's from like the 1970s to maybe mid 80s. I mean, I probably have about 4,000 to 5,000 comic books in my collection,
Nice.
that were like in my mom's basement for, 20, 30 years. But I have my entire collection here in Japan now. I brought everything together. So even though obviously I have a manga studio here in Tokyo, I still am like a real hardcore American comic fan as well. I mean, I really love a lot of the mainstream books, as well as a lot of indie stuff that's coming out now is phenomenal. So I mean, I see merits in both, traditional manga and Western comics as well.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you hear that a lot, Mario, with especially
Mm,
like older comic book readers that are pretty diehard and been reading for a very long time. Do you,
yeah.
with all your experience within this world of manga, do you kind of come across that quite often where people are a little hesitant to jump into this world, and when they do, they get captured pretty quick?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Well, I think because manga and more so anime, I think in the US, I mean, a lot of people are watching anime now. Um, just to give you a very short little side story, I'm from
Please.
Detroit, and I went back home about a year ago, and I got home late. I was out with some friends, and I got home at maybe like 1 a.m. And there was a guy walking down the street at 1 a.m. And instinctively, I kind of like, was watching over my shoulder, thinking this guy might come over and like, try to, take my wallet or something. I don't know. And he was on the phone, and I overheard his conversation, and he was talking about whose power level is higher, Goku or Vegeta. And And I said,
We're in
man,
conversation at
times
1 in the morning, Mario.
I said times have changed. Times have changed. And it's beautiful, right? I mean, everybody now has some kind of anime that they're into. And especially with like the younger demographics, like they're all in. And so yeah, you're right. People that maybe are a bit older that are used to, US comics. I think everybody has their own little sandbox they like to stay in, right? And some might step out of that sandbox and play in a different sandbox, but you have your people that are DC people and people that are Marvel people that are Image people, and people that are like, manga and anime people. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. But it's always nice to see what's happening in the other sandbox every once in a while.
Well, you probably already know this, but you can't. I mean, you walk into, as a comic guy, it's a little sad sometimes, but when you walk into like a Barnes and Noble and you see 8 or 12 feet of graphic novels of American comics, and then you go over to, the manga side of the store, it's like 40 feet, man. It's insane. And you could get
Yeah.
lost in the storytelling. And now that I'm
Mm,
kind of dug in, I can understand why.
mm,
In fact, I believe, and again, this is just my speculation, these books by DC, I think are a direct result of the popularity around manga, that type of storytelling. But
yeah.
more importantly, getting a full story in one small book that you could put in
Yeah.
your backpack and carry. I do think that is one of the reasons why manga has
Mm,
become so popular. Obviously, the art's amazing, the storytelling is
mm,
incredible. I feel like the storytelling takes me back to that golden
mm,
silver bronze age where they're obviously complex stories, but they're
mm,
they're rooted in hope. And
mm.
a lot of the comics I'm realizing today, I mean, villains are now heroes, heroes are now villains. It's like it's
Yeah.
everything been kind of turned upside down. And when I
Mm,
go to manga, I get that old school feel where you
mm,
truly have someone that's kind of down and out. They have this
mm,
special ability. They tap into that ability, and it's
mm,
full of hope. And there's a lot of positivity around that. And
mm,
I don't want to generalize anything, but I feel like in comic books we lost a little bit of that. And I
mm,
think that's why you see, especially on the indie side of
mm.
comic books, you see this expansion. Obviously, Kickstarter and some of these other
Yeah.
platforms have
Yep.
helped bring a lot of these other stories, but we're getting amazing stories that remind me
Mm.
of that in comic books. But manga, I feel like, at least for me, again, I'm new to it. You're probably like, dude, this has been going on for 50 years. But for me, I feel like, wow, this is amazing, man. I really love the
Yeah.
storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're spot on with everything you just said. Again, I think there are tons of talented Western comic book artists. There's tons of super talented, authors as well. But I think, what made Marvel and DC so popular also, I think, is kind of leading to it kind of being left behind. And mainly it's that if you create something at one of those big studios, they own it. So if you're an artist or a writer, you think, well, why should I give my best? Why should I make an original character? Why should I take this amazing idea that I have and then do it here where I have no royalties? I have no equity in this. And so I think you have a lot of kind of the same stories being recycled. And again, it's not to bash,
Yeah.
the big two or even some of the other studios, but you find that with manga because a lot of times it's smaller teams, right? You have a writer and you might have one mangaka, and sometimes it's the same person. Maybe some of my favorite manga were written and drawn by the same person, which is amazing to me. I would say almost insane, but
Yeah.
um, and so that person has complete creative control, and they're going to put their heart and their soul into it because they're working exclusively on this book for years of their life, right? Whereas in the West, you might have an artist who might just say, I want to do covers. And so I'll do covers across, 10 different titles every month. I might do interiors, but to make a living, they have to kind of like do things piecemeal, and the writers as well. And so I think that affects, the quality of the story in the long term. And I think people now they want that drama, they want it. It's like Game of Thrones. If you think about Game of Thrones, the TV series, it's a soap opera, really. It's a soap opera with dragons, and pro wrestling is probably the same way. And people might flame me for it, but it's a soap opera. And I think people
100%.
like they like drama. They like having something that sets up and there's a payoff and some catharsis. And all of those basic elements of storytelling are still present in graphic novels. And I think right now manga seems to be the thing that people can connect with, and there's a beginning and normally there's an end. And a lot of times there's a progression. Characters, they get old, they have kids, Naruto, his son, I think, is the main character in the story now. Goku has had several kids and probably even grandkids, and you don't really get that so much with Western comics because they're kind of stuck in time.
Yeah.
Alfred has been an old man, for a very, very long time.
About
You
300 years
know,
old if you count the years, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And actually, I think Alfred is dead in the
Yeah,
main
he
in the
is.
main continuity, where I think he has his neck broken or something like that. But but at some point he'll come back. You know what I mean? At some point
100%.
they'll bring him back, and
No one dies in
you know,
comics, Mario. Nobody dies in
yeah, 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 yeah. So, but with manga, sometimes you do, and again, I'll keep using Dragon Ball. I mean, Goku's died several times and he comes back, but I think with manga, you do get a feel like there's a linear progression that if I invest my time, my money into this IP, it's going to take me somewhere and take me somewhere maybe I haven't been before, and
comics.
and that's exciting, right?
Yeah, 100%. So
Yeah.
where did you get this bug for this style of writing, this style of art, storytelling? When did it happen? I mean,
Hmm.
obviously you mentioned you've been in Japan for 20 years. Obviously you have
Yeah, that's right.
a
Yeah.
huge passion for at least Japanese culture in general to be able to live within the culture. I think that's
Hmm.
brave in and of itself to just uplift yourself from Detroit, which I'm thinking is a big cultural shift for you going from Detroit
Yeah.
to Japan. But was it all driven by storytelling? Is that the whole reason
Mm.
why you moved there, or was there another reason you got captured there?
Well, I think the simplest way I could put it is I'm a nerd. That's
I
the
love it.
simplest way I can put it.
I
And
love
if
it.
you're a nerd, Japan is kind of where you want to be.
Yeah.
This is paradise for nerds. So, no, I mean I grew up watching a lot of science fiction movies. I mean, I've probably seen every major science fiction movie that came out in the 80s, including like the B ones. And then I eventually got into like Hong Kong cinema, kung fu movies, samurai movies, and then that was like the gateway into anime back in like the early 90s. And, one of my best friends, we used to go to comic conventions and we'd buy bootleg VHS tapes of anime because it wasn't on TV back then. So you had to get bootleg stuff, and you couldn't even buy it back then, right? This is back in like the early 90s. And so we'd get these VHS tapes that weren't even subtitled. It was just raw Japanese. Like, and so that's where we started to learn Japanese so we could actually understand a little bit of what we were watching, if it was like Fist of the North Star or Akira or things like that. And then I had an opportunity to come to Japan in 2000 and had an amazing time when I was here. And then after I graduated from university, I came back on a 1-year contract. Um, and that was 20 years ago. Never, it was just like, you know what? I think I'm going to stay one more year, one more year, one more year, and then before you know it, it's just this is life.
I mean, at this point, you're Japanese. I mean, 20 years in that culture,
Yeah,
man. I mean, you're part of that culture now. So that's
definitely.
impressive, my friend. I don't I
Thank you.
I visit. I've never been to Asia, but I've been to South America quite often, probably
Oh,
3
okay.
times or so. And I love
Hmm.
Peru, Chile, Argentina. Uh,
Wow. Yeah.
I love that part of the Americas. And but to like drop everything here, go
Mm,
there and spend the next 20 years. Like I love it, but I don't know if I could do that. You know what I mean? I probably
yeah.
could. Like you probably said the same thing, and then all of a sudden you've been there for 20 years. But I just feel like that's amazing, man. And what an amazing opportunity to really kind of invest and just throw yourself into the culture and
Hmm.
obviously it's you've been able to produce something that is very much part of that culture and it's incredible. When did you start your studio? Like was it right
Hmm.
away at 20 years or did that come a little bit?
No. Yeah, my career here has been very eclectic. If I tell you all the things that I've done, I came here as an English teacher. I mean, that's how most people come to Japan. Especially from the West. If you're from the UK or America, you come here as an English teacher. And then I got promoted to being a trainer. Then I switched lanes completely and got into real estate and corporate relocation services. And then I got into business development, into B2B sales. I worked at a mixed martial arts, media company for a while. Ran a media analytics company, and just did a number of things. So in 2020, Right when the pandemic was starting, I I thought I had an idea, because I was stuck in the house all the time, and I had this crazy idea um, to make something. And I have two children, a daughter named Sakura and a son named Phoenix, and that's where the name of my studio comes from, is Sakura Phoenix. And so my son and I developed a game together, which actually coincidentally I have a copy of it right here.
Awesome.
So this has
Wow.
not been released yet in the US, but this was the first product that we made. It's a naval strategy board game, and it was really just kind of like I was doing it to spend time with my kids during the pandemic, and then I realized like, wow, this game actually is really good. Like, maybe I have some bias because I helped make it, but it was a really good game. And so I said, let's see if we can prototype it. And so I kept making a few prototypes, and then we made a story to go with it. And then while I was working on that, I got the idea for God Tier, and I just couldn't stop writing it. Like I was like obsessed with writing this thing, and then we got a publishing deal in Japan, so we had a chance to publish it in Japan as a digital comic for about a year and a half. And that was just an amazing experience. I mean, I learned so much about the industry during that time, but mainly the deadlines. I don't know if you've heard about, how strict the deadlines are in Japan, but
No.
you're publishing every week. Whereas in the US it's monthly, in Japan it's weekly.
Wow.
And
Wow.
yeah, so when you look at that amazing artwork and some of your favorite manga, a
Yeah.
lot of that was done, basically, with a gun, basically to like the art, you know, because you've got to make your deadlines. And in Japan, you just can't be late. It's just completely unacceptable to be late. So once you promise to deliver, you have to. So my team I put together, we learned how to be very efficient, very lean. Um, but yeah, to answer your question, started in 2020, got our first publishing deal in 2021, and then now we're working with Mad Cave on obviously God Tier, and then another title that we haven't announced yet, but that's going to be huge as well. And then some other projects that we're doing that I just can't wait to announce those later on this year.
Well, you must have been on a writing tear because you have two different volumes that are available to pre-order. So, like, how far is God Tier plan to go? Is it kind of one and done with volumes one and two, or do you
Oh
have
no,
long-term
yeah.
story? Oh, great.
Yeah, so basically it's based and inspired on by Greek mythology. And so if you know Greek mythology, there's like an infinite number of stories you can tell within that pantheon, right? And so the story focuses on a family, the Costello family. There's a boy named Pablo and his sister Anna, and they're trying to go get help. There's a situation where um, basically the entire world is rioting on at one time. The entire world is fed up with kind of the status quo, and there's a person, this mysterious masked man named Typhon, who seems to be behind all of it. Like he's found a way to kind of get all these gangs together and all these like disgruntled people. And basically he's turned all these protests into riots. Like he's tipped them over into violence and the Costello family's apartment is on fire at the beginning of the story, and their mother is too sick to go out to escape. But she's a devout believer in the gods, right? So like the Olympian gods, right? And so she has this prayer necklace where if you go to a sanctuary and you pray at an altar, the gods actually can hear you, and she sends her children to this sanctuary to get help to basically stop these riots before they burn down the entire city. And so through them trying to get help, they run into a lot of like, your classic Greek heroes like Perseus and Heracles. We use like the Greek pronunciation, so Hercules is Heracles, Achilles, and all of these other demigods. And then they run into like classic Greek monsters as well, so like Medusa, Hydra, Minotaur, and then eventually the gods. And so that story right now, I've got it plotted all the way out to at least 10 volumes. And then there's a separate spinoff as well that I have planned for that as well. But we have to earn our readership with each volume, right? So hopefully people will buy volume one, and they like it and buy volume two. And then volume three is when like there's a big change in kind of the tone of the book. I don't want to spoil too much, but that's really when you'll see what this story is about is in volume three. But that won't come out until probably Q1 or Q2 next year.
Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. I mean, let me share my screen. I'll just go to the Mad Cave site, and we'll kind of show fans how they could get their hands on this.
Hmm.
The great thing is, obviously, you could order this through your comic shop.
Hmm.
They can order those to your stores. That's always the best way to do that to help out the comic shops. But if you want to go to Mad Cave, you can go to Mad Cave. That's where I actually pre-ordered for volumes
Hmm.
one and two. Excuse me, and two. What I love about manga is the entry price is very simple. You get a
Mm.
hefty piece of storytelling for a very inexpensive price.
Yeah.
And I also think that's what's driving manga as well. Although every Wednesday I'm at my comic shop. In fact, I'll reach out to my comic shop to make sure the orders with the holiday here in the States arrived. But you're spending, on average about $5 for 22
Hmm.
to 24 pages, which I love, right? But man,
Mm.
you get volume one of God Tier, you're getting a hefty part of the story for such an
Yep.
inexpensive price. And I do think that's why the entry into manga is so popular
Mm.
because that's got to be one of the drive. There's a lot of different reasons, but that's got to be one of them. And right now, I mean, for $11, man, you're getting each volume, and so I just because it's so inexpensive, I'm like, well, I'll just get both of them now, and hopefully, with the story and
Yeah.
the length of the story you're going to get for that price. I mean, a Kickstarter for a 40-page book is $25. So this is
Mm.
an amazing opportunity to dive into this story. There are a bunch of other places that you could go to get God Tier.
Hmm.
I do watch Crunchyroll, and
Yep.
I heard you were talking to Al, one of my good friends, Al from Comic Crusaders, and
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
great guy, by the way. I've gone to
Yeah,
you know
fantastic. Fantastic guy. Yeah.
Comic Cons and stuff with him. He's a good friend, but
Hmm.
and shout out to all the folks over there. But he talked about Crunchyroll, and I did go to Crunchyroll and
Hmm.
pre-order from Crunchyroll too. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's about as a legit in the United States as you could get to have your title on Crunchyroll, I would think. But obviously, Barnes and Noble,
Hmm.
a bunch of different places where you could pick it up. Amazon. Even be on Global Comics. It looks like too, which is
Yeah.
Mad Cave has an amazing partnership with them. So every
Hmm.
Wednesday they're uploading the titles, but that's awesome as well. So, yeah, I'll make sure all the links are below Mario to make it really easy for people to pick this up. And it's good to know that you have something built out long term. Now, when it comes to God tier, is there other ideas that you have outside of just the story? You started by creating a game. Is there
That's
idea to
right.
do
That's right.
something with like a game later with God tier? It seems like you could almost do something like the game that you've already created where you're battling different gods and stuff like that.
It's funny you mentioned that. It's going to sound like we rehearsed that. I promise we
I
didn't.
know.
But actually there is a card game and it's a really amazing game. Again, I'm a bit biased because I made it, but trust me on this.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a card battle game where you basically you can play as humans, gods, demigods, monsters, and then some things that are a bit in between. And you can equip armor and weapons and do special attacks and things like that. But it has original gameplay mechanics, so it's not like any other card battle game that's already out. And yeah, I can't wait to announce when that comes out, but most likely we'll release that when Volume 3 comes out next year. But that game is fully prototyped and ready to go into production. And just once we announce our publication partner, I think we'll be able to tell people when it's available and where to get it.
Now,
But the goal, sorry to cut you
no,
off. Go
please.
ahead.
No, no, you go ahead, please.
The goal is actually to have all of this go towards a long form animation. So you have to build a community, you have to build a following. The manga is the first stage, the tabletop game is the second stage, and then eventually getting it to a long form animation that you would see on like a streaming platform. And we do have a partner animation studio here in Tokyo that's already worked with Disney and Amazon and Netflix. So we do have the ability to make this into an anime. We just need to build the following and get enough fanfare, so when we go and pitch to a streaming platform, they can see that it's commercially viable to invest in it. But that's the goal, is we basically build intellectual properties, we make content that's connected to it, we license that content out, and then we basically move to the next media, the next medium, to basically, grow the fan base.
Actually my next question was going to be animation. So
Hmm.
again, we did not rehearse this, jumped right into it. I love it, Mario.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I think that's the dream, right? Is to be
Yeah.
able to have this amazing story and then build like diversification, right? Build all
Hmm.
these different branches into that same IP and just give everybody a well-rounded experience of the world that's been created. And I think that's actually freaking amazing, man. Um, can you kind of talk about, I mean, obviously you're American, you're black.
Hmm.
What is it like being in Tokyo and how well received is
Mm,
Americans jumping in? Because I mean,
mm,
so many amazing manga and
hmm.
other styles of Asian storytelling that is taking place in the United States by Americans because of the popularity of anime. Is it well received, you being in Japan, kind of dabbing into this world?
Yeah, I mean that's a really interesting question, and I get that a lot. And what I would say to people is I always have this mindset where the quality of what you do should be in the forefront of everything, right? So if you see one of my games on the shelf, if you see one of my books on the shelf, and you've never seen or met me before, the product should stand on its own. And that's why everything we do, we try to do at the utmost level of quality. But of course, I'm going to make things that are influenced by my upbringing, by my environment, by my family, by my values. All those things come into play. But I make things for the general population. The God tier, there's tons of characters of different ethnicities, and um, but it's made for the general population. But there's a lot of things in there that I think, I want to say about society, and there's a bit of me in every one of those characters that I write. But to answer your question, in Japan, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because there's obviously so much manga, there's so many different types of things, but a lot of it falls into categories. You'll find there's certain types of genres that you can't really stray too far out of it, or else it kind of breaks the like suspension of disbelief, right? People can't process like, what is this? Like, have you seen Attack on Titan? Here's an example.
Yes.
Attack on Titan.
I just
Fantastic.
started it. Incredible. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. I
Yeah.
don't want to. I'm not going to spoil anything about it. It's a fantastic show. But halfway through the show, I realized like this is like a mech anime. Like it's a mech anime, but the mechs are made out of like meat.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Flesh.
organic. Yeah, it's like organic mechs, right? And so once I processed it that way, and I thought, wow, okay, obviously the story is different, but it's not radically different than something like a Gundam or any of the other robot manga or anime that's out there. So when I did God Tier, it's a bit different than a lot of your traditional manga that's out there, right? So a lot of what I have to do is kind of beat the drums and say, hey, this is not going to be like the traditional manga that you're used to. And obviously it's made by a foreign person who's in Japan, so already it's going to be something different. And I think Japanese people, have received it well. They've been curious, I think, to see first off if an American person can make manga. Um, and it's not a one person show as well. I should mention my team. So
Please.
the lead artist for this is a Tokyo-based artist named Kuroi. She's been phenomenal. We've worked on this project together for the past 4.5 years. And then you mentioned South America. There's another artist named Pablo Rey, who's based in Argentina. Phenomenal artist, and he actually did two chapters in volume one. There's a Medusa chapter and a Minotaur chapter. And then there's a couple of other artists as well that have worked on this, but our team is all over, all over the world. I have people in Australia, people in South Korea, mainly in Japan, but other nations as well. And even one of the artists that worked on the card game is based in California. So yeah, it's an international team, and I think right now in Japan, um, that is what Japan is looking for, is like international voices, international teams, because there's so much tourism, There's so much immigration happening right now. This is a perfect time for us to be doing what we're doing here. And obviously it's a perfect time to sell manga in America too, because like you said, when you go to bookstores and things, it's taking over. So I think we're in the right place at the right time with the right product and the right message. So I just hope we can get a following behind what we're doing and people support us and we can continue putting out really high quality content.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm all in for it, Mario. It looks amazing. The storyline sounds super incredible. You were the first one. I mean, there's quite a few different things that are available through Nakama Press right
Mhm.
now, through Mad Cave, and you were the first one that I picked up. I'm like, dude, this looks pretty dope. And then I saw you on Al's show, and then I got the email from Frank. I'm like, let's see if I can't talk to Mario, man. This would be amazing, man.
No, I appreciate it. I think we're the second book
Uh-huh.
from for Nakama Press. So just yesterday, I don't know where I have it, but there's another book called Indigo that just came out this month. I
Mm.
just got a copy of that yesterday. It looks phenomenal. So I can maybe plug that book as well.
Yeah.
And I think God Tier is going to be the second, maybe the third book that comes out from Nakama. So I'm really happy that we're a part of the history of this company. Matt Cave has been around for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
And to have the opportunity to be one of the first manga released in their new manga imprint is an absolute honor and a privilege.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just really happy with our partnership with them and really happy to finally bring this out to North America, this thing that I've been working on with my team for almost 5 years now. So just really happy.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously should be. I mean, it's incredible. I was trying to see if I could find Ingo on the website, but I'm having a hard time finding it. But I'll put the link down below too. I see Nikara Warrior is another one. The Theory of KO, which looks pretty cool.
Oh yeah, yeah, that actually looks pretty cool as well.
Yeah, Infinity Force is another one.
Mhm.
But I don't see that one. But I'll have to. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Probably knowing me, I'm at
So
that
we
age where I make
will
mistakes.
I will have an announcement that's kind of related to the Infinity Force. I can't
Okay.
announce it just yet, but it's going to be a really big announcement, and I can't wait to make that announcement. But I think somewhere maybe around Anime NYC in August, I think we'll be able to make some announcements. But yeah, just really cool things happening right now with our studio, and I just can't wait for people to have a chance to read the books and to hear feedback from people and to have a chance to grow these IPs where I think they can potentially spread around the world.
Yeah, I mean, makes perfect sense, and I couldn't be more happy for you, Mario. I'm really glad this will be my first kind of American-led manga, so I can't wait to dig in and prop it up, man. I think it's gonna be freaking
Yeah,
amazing. So,
I think we're making history here, right? I mean, obviously there's American or Western companies that are doing manga, but I don't know how many American-owned manga companies there are in Japan. I have to look it up, but I may be one of the first to do it. So it's just really, really honored to have a chance to have a platform to tell these stories. And I just hope it inspires someone else because I was a kid, like I said, when I was 13, buying, bootleg, Dragon Ball Z tapes. Hopefully people don't bootleg my book, but if you do, hopefully it inspires you and hopefully, you make something, yourself and you find an audience for it. So I just think that's what it's all about.
yeah, yeah, no, that's incredible. Well, Mario, I can't tell you how excited I am to get this into my hands. You said it's released in June.
That's right. I believe it's June 17th is when volume one comes out. And then the second half of August is when volume two comes out.
Sweet, man. Well, everybody, use the link below. Head over to Mad Cave right now. The link, I'll make it very easy to go right to God tier. Go ahead and just pick up both of them at the same time. It's 11 bucks per volume. Come on, just get in there. You're gonna spend that on two comics today on Wednesday, anyways. You're gonna get a lot more than two comics worth of a story and some amazing art. But Mario, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you spending some time this late at night in Japan, in Tokyo there. It's 8:30 in the morning here in the
Yeah.
central area. So, but it was a pleasure meeting you. I would love, once God Tier comes out, I would love to have you back. Here, I'm in Texas, so in Austin, they have
Oh, wow. One of my favorite cities. One of my
yeah.
favorite cities. Austin is awesome. Right. Very, very, very cool.
Yeah, they have it's called Anime of Austin. So it's a whole group,
Okay.
and it's growing very fast, obviously, with the popularity of anime everywhere. And
Hmm.
I would love to bring a couple of those folks on too after we read it, so we
Okay.
can dig into the story, ask questions, and get
Okay.
everyone really excited for volume two if you're up for it, my friend. And we could do it a little bit earlier for you. That way you're not up at 11 o'clock at night talking to me.
No, no, it's all good, Tommy. I really appreciate your time. Anytime you want me on, just let me know. I'd love to talk about the story or anything. So just let me know.
I would
But
love that, Mario. It would be a
excellent.
pleasure to have you back, man. It's truly an honor to be able to meet you, and congratulations on God Tier and the partnership with Nakama. And I cannot wait to get this in my hands, my friend.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, you have a great rest of your night. Hopefully, you get some rest, and we'll talk again, my friend.
All right. Take care. Thank
All
you.
right, talk soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.